as the eye can see, but there is barely a motorist on it. An entire city either just didn't turn up to work today, or when they got there, turned their tails and went back home ASAP. Inch after inch of this stuff fell from the early hours until the early evening. The prettiest of winter's gifts in the eyes of many children was far from wanted today by adults. Forget salt, try brute force, the only way to get parts of the northwest moving. What may be the coldest winter in 100 years hasn't just frozen, it's paralyzed. Our cameras on the ground and above captured the commute and school run that wasn't.
It's not very nice. It's okay in picture postcards, but I don't like it in real life.
We've just ventured to the supermarket, which was a bit treacherous.
Deciding a journey was essential didn't always pay off. A raft of accidents closed major roads, including one that killed a lorry driver on the M60. Preventing crashes is becoming harder. Grit's running out in some areas. The supply chain can't keep up with such a long, deep freeze.
This is the biggest challenge we've had for over 30 years. At present, we've got 11 gritters out, continually gritting 24/7, 16 JCBs, a snowblower, and over 100 men out in the town and village centres clearing footpaths. It is a major challenge.
They needed more than salt at the Northwest 3 airports. The snowblowers took hours to clear runways and stands. Flights were cancelled or diverted. Little public transport slipped through. In parts of Lancashire, buses were snowed into their depots. And those who conquered pavements and roads to get in won no prize. Shops, offices, even the courts shut down.
Buses were very slow. One came, slipping everywhere. Took about an hour and 45 instead of 35 minutes.
We just left work because none of our buses got in.
1,500 schools closed their doors.
We've got a lot to do, high expectations for this term. Students are up for it, the staff certainly have come in fully prepared. I mean, they've been coming on planes, trains and automobiles today to get in. And it does disrupt you because it puts you back. Every second counts in teaching, in education, and it does hold us back.
The emergency services aren't kidding when they say home's the best place to be. They needed digging out in Oldham. Such help could have been welcome on the nation's most famous street. Filming was abandoned on Corrie. There was nowhere to shoot the stars, even if they'd made it to the set. Yeah, the real world impinging on Soapville. They don't have to worry about their bins being collected on Coronation Street, but you might tomorrow morning. Collections have gone haywire thanks to all of this stuff. I tell you something, around here tonight we've seen car after car that has just been abandoned in side streets. The number of vehicles, trucks, you name it, that the breakdown firms have been at today has been absolutely astonishing, and it's the numbers that leave you aghast in all of this, as my colleague Claire Fallon reports.
This has been the day our region was quite literally corpse cold, with just about every area of our lives affected by the snow. Around 1,500 schools have been closed across the northwest. Many are expected to stay that way tomorrow. Getting around on many of the region's roads has been difficult and dangerous, to say the least. Some routes have been closed all day. On the motorways, the Highways Agency had to deal with 10 serious incidents in the space of just a few hours, most caused by stranded lorries, although on the M60, one person was killed when a lorry overturned. The AA has been getting 1,100 call-outs every hour. The busiest areas Manchester, Liverpool and Warrington. And public transport hasn't been much better, with hundreds of bus services cancelled and the Metro link in Greater Manchester also affected. Key to keeping us moving are the gritters, but with most councils saying they're having to prioritise, it means only the major roads are being treated. In fact, some areas are starting to run out of grit. Tameside Council says supplies are very low. While many businesses simply didn't open this morning, for those that did, it was an early finish for thousands of workers. The Trafford Centre closed at 4 o'clock today. The weather has also seen the postponement of some sports fixtures, with tonight's Carling Cup semi-final between Blackburn and Aston Villa not going ahead, and tomorrow's Manchester derby between City and United at Eastlands already called off. As far as tomorrow's concerned, the message is simple. don't even think about travelling unless you really have to.
Yeah, and that's the definition, isn't it? Really have to. Does it mean you don't go to work? Does it mean you don't go to school? In many cases today, people simply didn't have the choice. I was chatting to a friend of mine from Sweden earlier on this afternoon. He was laughing his socks off about this, wondering why exactly this part of the world has come to a grinding halt with what he sees as being a pretty insignificant amount of this white stuff. There'll be lots of questions to be asked about this. Whether or not any of us are going to get any answers is another matter, because let's face it, quite frankly, every single time that it falls from the sky, everything comes to a standstill. Lucy?
Rob, thanks very much. Well, there is some good news tonight. All of our airports are now open, although you may face some delays if you're travelling in the next few hours. Blackpool and Liverpool were closed earlier today, and the runway at Manchester was closed for 6 hours while the snowplows moved in. Spare a thought for the mother and daughter from Morecambe who took 4 hours to get to the airport through the snow today, only to be told their flight was cancelled anyway. Mel Barham has the latest.
As the planes lay grounded inside, the signs couldn't be more appropriate. Check-ins closed, flights cancelled, no one was going anywhere fast. You can see just how bad the situation is here. The snow has been falling pretty much non-stop since last night. They've had the snowplows out pretty much since then, but because the snow keeps falling, it's a losing battle to keep these runways clear.
We're supposed to be going to Granada in Egypt.
And in operating, take extra care. And after the day we've had, of course, the question, will it get worse, Fred?
In a sense it will, Lucy. The snow is actually moving south now. It's going to affect the south of England later. We get out of the way. But it's starting to freeze. And you know what the roads are like. It's not been cleared. It's going to be rock hard. So, in a sense, yes, a lot worse. I'd say to anyone tonight, just stay in. I don't know how we're going to get home.
No, I know. That's a big problem for us tonight, I know. But what do you think about the weather conditions?
The worst of it, I mean, you know my age now. I've reached the bus pass age, yes, as everyone tells me. I have never seen it as bad as this. At ground level, up in the Pennines, people live up there and say, oh, we're used to snow like that. We don't get it. Even the Isle of Man's got snow. Douglas doesn't often get snow. They had snow today. Everywhere seemed to have had snow, and a lot. I mean, you know what it's like here. I mean, look at the snowman behind. It's ridiculous.
Well, a lot of people have been able to see the fun side of it, but
Kids
very rare to see our cities brought to a standstill like this.
Completely, all over. A lot of snow, and I hate to say it, some silly driving. Somebody went past me this morning in a big sort of four-wheel drive thing. He thought he was fine, yes, probably was. If he'd hit his brakes, he'd have been straight into the car in front.
Yeah.
I saw people driving too close together, there'd be a lot of bumps and all that. Just take it easy, relax. I'm perfectly chilled about the whole thing, very chilled.
All right, Fred.
Spring will come, the daffodils will come.
Well, thanks very much for that, and we'll look forward to hearing the latest weather forecast from you later on in the programme.
Mildred Tennant has lived in Preston her entire life, but she says she's never seen snow like this. At 84 years old and registered blind, this is what she sees when it snows. Every step outside carries with it great risk.
It was frosty once.
Shared by residents in Chorley. Here, even the slightest incline presents a huge problem. The compact snow turns to ice. Driving a car out of the very road you live in becomes a huge challenge.
This happens every time we get some snow. It's been like this virtually all over Christmas. There's been no gritting at all here. There's a grit box up there that has never had any gritting for over 12 months. And here, as soon as the car stops, that's it, finished. They can't get going. It's too icy.
Today, as snow fell relentlessly in Lancashire, police were out in force to ensure the safety of motorists.
What is the motorway like?
You're all right going north.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, you're okay going north. In fact, it gets better as you go north at the moment.
Lancashire Police oversee and help maintain over 286 miles of major roads. But in these conditions, that task becomes increasingly difficult. Helping to coordinate gritters and snowplows is one of Inspector Phil Cottam's major concerns. He leads Lancashire Police's motorway unit. On a day like today, he fights a constant battle.
We're now into what are some of the worst conditions that I've seen on our motorway network and on roads in Lancashire. So I would very much urge motorists to take that extra care. It's most important that they are patient and that if they do get into difficulties, that they are prepared for them.
While some remain undaunted by today's snow and head out regardless, others heeded the warnings of the emergency services and stayed indoors. Today, many woke to deep snow and traffic chaos. The question now is, what will tomorrow bring?
There was only one way to travel this morning, and in style. Cars were going nowhere, despite the best efforts of some. From early this morning, road after road was completely covered, and parks resembled picture postcards. But with the heavy snowfall came mass disruption. Rose Walker works in the X-ray department at Stepping Hill Hospital in Stockport. She made several attempts to get there. All of them failed.
There was no buses, everything was stopped, traffic was gridlocked. Couldn't get any contact from work. It's just constantly engaged, so I don't know whether there's anybody there, whether they've managed to make it in or not.
And this is the scene at many of our schools. Staff simply can't reach here. And so for the pupils, it's a day in the snow. But of course, children need looking after, which meant many parents too had to stay at home.
I got a text from the school saying they were closed today, and that was very early, about 8 o'clock this morning, so you knew to prepare for the rest of the day, sort of thing.
And you've had to take the day off work yourself?
Yes, that's right. It was my first day back into work today, so, you know, you've got to take the day off, so it's a one-off, so, you know, they're enjoying it, so you enjoy it as well.
But no time for enjoyment for these Cheshire farmers. Frozen crops meant they desperately needed to get food supplies from elsewhere.
The conditions we've had the last 24 hours have been, you know, probably the worst I've seen for 10, 15 years. One of the big issues is access for milk trucks coming in to collect milk on the farms. We have had problems with yards being frozen and the lorries, you know, not being able to access the farms.
And with no sign of this snow shifting anytime soon, it seems people are becoming more and more prepared. Or just learning to embrace it.
They said to brace ourselves for another cold snap, but no one expected snow like this. On Merseyside, where the forecast was for some sleet, people in many parts were caught by surprise. In St Helens, efforts to clear ungritted roads and pavements were often in vain. Others didn't even bother trying. The snow on some parts of Merseyside is nearly knee-high, and with this amount of snow on cars, you can see why most people have decided not to go anywhere today. The sight of car wheels spinning became a common one today. Major routes were reduced to one lane, some cars simply abandoned.
The roads basically blocked, but what we were having to do this morning was, with our four-wheel drive vehicle, to compact the snow outside the garden centre, and then we've opened up the car park to allow cars which are stuck in the village to park up until the snowplough comes and gets the road ready for people to travel on.
Thoughts turn to those most in need of help.
Yeah, we brought a meal in today.
It's good of you to come out this weather.
St Helens Meals on Wheels service delivered to the most vulnerable, staffed with help from 4x4 drivers.
I walked 2 miles into work this morning and Jane walked 3.
And the cook walked into work as well this morning. She tried to get a taxi but they weren't able to get through, so she's walked 3 miles into work this morning to open up.
But those without help caused a day of worry and frustration.
My wife's mother lives in Wrexham, lives alone, she's 89, and she's fairly frail, so she can't go out the house by herself. In fact, she almost never goes out the house now.
No post today here. Most of the transport network ground to a snail's pace. Many schools will stay shut tomorrow. Now, at least, Merseyside is on guard for the snow and ice still to come.
This was a scene in what should have been the island's busy rush hour. Up to now, the Isle of Man has escaped the worst of the wintry weather, but even at sea level, conditions were bad today. On top of that, all bus services were cancelled and the police advised against travelling.
My advice to the people today in the Isle of Man is to stay at home. The roads are treacherous, only make absolute emergency journeys.
The gritters attempted to keep the main roads open, and where they couldn't get to, the locals helped out.
I'm just doing this bit. Somebody else can do the other bit.
What was due to be the first day of the school term turned into another day's holiday.
It's never like this here, I told you. It's
Brilliant.
great.
Fantastic. Sledging, I believe, on a icy road when there's been a car that's smashed into the hedge.
Numerous traffic collisions were reported throughout the day, and things don't look likely to improve soon, with temperatures due to dip below freezing again tonight.
Yeah, at the moment it's getting colder, so we expect it to freeze overnight, which will make conditions exceptionally difficult overnight and also tomorrow morning. So the same advice is being given to people on the Isle of Man: stay indoors until the weather improves.
The island hasn't experienced snow conditions quite like this for some years, what with no buses, no schools, and even ironically, no indoor ice rink running today.
Yeah, that's the irony in Manchester too, where the only place that has to deal with cold conditions all year round, the chill factory, has also had to close tonight. You couldn't make it up. Well, as ever, you never fail to disappoint us with the pictures you send in. We've had so many, I'm sure you'll understand that we can't show all of them. But many thanks for all the great emails and texts. Please keep them coming. And let's take a look at some of the happier moments that the weather's been bringing us today.